What it is, y'all, Icon here, going over this week's episode of The Flash, and Gorilla Grodd is back. For this particular episode, it starts with Barry Allen. He's walking the streets of Central City because he's trying to, a la Bruce Wayne style, put some flowers on his parents' grave. And he can't find their graves because since Crisis came, things are different. Buildings are in places they're not supposed to be. The graveyard, there are trains where trains weren't before. And in his case, his parents' grave isn't in the place where it used to be, and now he can't find them. He gets the metahuman alert that there's a threat out there, so he goes to check out the threat. It's the returning Hartley, the Pied Piper from season 2. I want to say season 1, season 2. Hartley's back, and he started off as a villain. He was the Pied Piper. He had the ear thing, and then he had the gloves that emitted sound waves. They defeated him. Later on, he came back in another episode, and he turned over a new leaf, and Hartley actually became a good guy. He even reconciled with his parents. But in this case, now, so we've always known Hartley as a friend ever since then. But now, because of Crisis, he's a bad guy again. And Flash doesn't know why he's a bad guy. He was just like when Flash rolled up on him, he was just like, "Come quietly, Hartley," and then he was just like, "How dare you speak to me after what you and your friends did?" And he was like, "What did we do?" And Chester's back. Chester was on comms. He was just like, "Yo, bro, that's cold. Like, how you not gonna remember what you did to the man?" But Flash was kind of struggling in this whole thing because out of all the superhero shows, the Flash is the only person who's not dealing with the Crisis situation very well. And I'm talking about Kate had to deal with her dead sister's with her dead doppelganger sister, and she's handling this better than Barry is. All the changes to the Crisis, all the changes to the world, Barry is not taking this okay, and it's really bothering him. He's used to having Iris, Cisco, Caitlin, everybody on comms while he's out there doing his Flash thing. Now he's got Camilla and Chester, on comms, because Chester, he's still in Star Labs because they've been monitoring his black hole activity. And then Camilla's just there. She's just trying to help out because she works with Iris and she's Cisco's girlfriend, so she just happened to be there. She's just trying to fill in, but Barry doesn't want to accept their help because he's like, "Yo, you're not Team Flash." And then, Hartley ends up escaping because before. His harmonic powers basically came out of his gloves, but now he can actually shoot them out of his mouth, a la Black Canary style, and he can fly now. So so Barry didn't take that very well. He's now back at Star Labs, and also in season 1, when Barry found Gideon for the very first time, he asked Gideon how did you come about? And then Gideon said, she was like, "You're the one who created me, Barry Allen." So now he's in the lab creating Gideon, and he's trying to put Gideon throughout the Star Labs building. He's actually trying to build Gideon. And somebody needs to there needs to be a tie-in here because the Legend ship is also run by a Gideon, and I just want somebody to be like, "Yeah, the Gideon technology was created by the Flash." So and then it's if Barry's trying to make a Gideon for the Star Labs, why would he not just ask the Legends because they have a Gideon? Anyway, so he's trying to figure out how to get Gideon, into the entire building. And Chester comes downstairs. He's like, "Yo, I can help," because he's a huge Flash fan. Chester says that he can boost the signal, the Gideon signal, where it can reach, so he does his little tweaking thing. He tweaks the signal, and then, Barry, freaks out on him. He's like, "Yo, don't touch my shit," and then, and then, Chester gets up, he gets upset and he leaves. Because Chester boosted the signal, when Barry puts the comlink on, he gets zapped and then he passes out and he ends up into this weird reality. And then we find out that he's actually trapped in Gorilla Grodd's mind, because when Chester boosted the signal, it allowed Grodd to piggyback off the signal, because remember, Grodd has telepathic powers. So Grodd was able to piggyback off the system, and he was able to catch Barry's mind, and he was able to bring Barry's mind into his own mind, because Grodd's body is in a coma at Argus, because when the whole King Shark situation, like Argus got him, and they got Grodd locked up in a coma. He has like a cerebral inhibitor on his mind or whatever, on his brain, that's supposed to keep him from using his telepathy. But he can still use it. It's like, I guess he can still use his telepathy. Like it's just a very like weak signal. But again, through the power of what Chester did, it able to boost the signal. So he brings Flash into his mind. And he's using like familiar faces, people that he knows, to try to talk to him. Grodd's whole thing is, he said that he's aware of crisis. He said that he said that the crisis didn't affect Grodd's mind. He was like, I remember everything. Grodd said he remembers all the old stuff, and he's aware of all the new changes. He said that he knows that Gorilla City is now part of this Earth. And the time in exile, like while he was in Argus, it got him thinking. It made him remorseful for the bad stuff that he did, and he wants a second chance, and he wants to be able to do good. And he just wants to live a normal life, but he wants to live it in Gorilla City because he wants to be with his own kind. So he asked the Flash, he was just like, there's a portal in my mind where I can escape, like the mind control or whatever, but it's being guarded, and I need your help. Flash told Grodd to kiss his ass. He was like, I ain't helping you. Flash tries to escape on his own, but he's met by Salatar, who's guarding the portal. So Flash goes back to Grodd, and he's just like, yo, the two of them had a conversation. Grodd convinces Flash that he's trying to do good, and he wants to change his ways. So they're like, all right, fine. Flash is like, we'll work together. We'll try to get out of here. Now, with the two of them trying to work together, it turned like Barry ended up. The two of them merged together. Like Grodd and Barry merged together as one being, and Grodd now has Flash powers. And Barry even said, he was like, you now have all my knowledge of my powers and how to use them. And part of me was like, that statement right there is gonna come back to bite you in the ass. I just don't know how, when, or why, but you're gonna regret that moment right there. So, but the problem now is, now that they've merged, because Killer Frost showed up, and then she was like running diagnostics, and then she basically told him, she was just like, because their minds have merged together now, if they exit the portal merged together, they're going to go into the same body, and because one body can't handle two minds, the body will shut down and die. I don't know why they just didn't tell Barry to unfuse from him, but apparently he couldn't unfuse from him, and they needed a way to separate them once they go through the portal. So Chester's like, all right, let me get this do-over real quick, and he ends up fixing the comlink thing. He fixed the machine to the point where when the two of them go through the portal, the machine will separate themselves for you. And that's exactly what happened. Killer Frost gave Chester the Team Flash pep speak, pep talk, whatever. Chester did what he had to do, and he got both of them out. Grodd's back in his body, Barry's back in his. Barry apologized to Chester for being a dick earlier, and then Chester was like, yo, it's all good, Flash. And then he even said, Camilla told him about the whole parent thing with the graveyard, and Chester did his scientific mumbo jumbo. He found Barry's parents, so Barry was happy about that. And I like having Chester on the team. I'm okay with Camilla. Camilla's basically an Iris replacement, because Iris got something else going on. Because you just need like one person who can just talk to you on comms. So I don't have a problem with it, but I like Chester because Chester brings a lot to the table. It's like Chester, and Chester's basically Cisco's replacement, because Carlos Valdez hasn't been on the show a lot this season, so having Chester in the mix, and so I like it. Whether Chester ends up with like black hole powers, like who knows? But if he's just in Star Labs as like the new tech guy, the new engineer guy, that'll be very interesting. I just can't wait for him to interact with everyone else, because it's basically just Chester and the Flash and Camilla, and like nobody else is there. So now the Mirror Iris, she's still trying to take down this company. She's still going after the company, that Eva's husband still owns. She goes to Joe. She asked Joe. She was like, "Yo, I need some information." Joe's like, "Baby girl, I can't help you with that." And then she got a little testy. Like, Mirror Iris is very bratty, especially like because even last time when she asked Barry for something and Barry was like, no, she's like, well, why can't you give it to us? She's like throwing like little fits, and then she got mad at Joe. She's like, how dare you keep this for me? And then Joe was like, you better watch your tone, woman. And like, I'm still your daddy. And Yeah, she's like I said, she's a little triggered, she's a little emotional, and she's also very sneaky because she told Joe she apologized. She was like, my bad for snapping at you. She was like, let's go to Big Belly Burger at 12 o'clock. So then when Joe goes at 12 o'clock, she sneaks into his office and gets the information she needed from the computer. And then she was just like, oh, did I say 12? I meant 12:30. I'm like, you lying ass. And, so but I don't know what her plan is. Like, she's still trying to like get all this information from this company, and like I don't know where this is going. See, but then maybe I do, because the real Iris, she's still trapped in the mirror with Eva, and Eva had told Iris that she created this machine that was supposed to be able to, I guess, like soften the mirror, that makes it able for them to pass through. So Iris was like, let's use the machine. And Ava was like, I don't want to use the machine. And she was like, why not? She was like, because. So they're going back and forth about the machine. And then there's a moment where Ava says to Iris, she was like, well, I was able to move the mirror pieces. Why can't we just keep doing that? And then Iris was like, no, let's try the machine. And I don't understand why Iris didn't want to focus on the power thing, because I'm just like, if she can control the mirror, that seems like the easiest route to get out of this mirror. But Iris wanted to go with the machine. And Ava's whole thing was, she tried the machine, she turned the machine on. Ava said that the machine can soften the mirror for them to pass through, but it doesn't remove the, let's just call it the electric barrier between the mirror world and the real world. It's almost like passing through the atmosphere, where if you're in outer space and you're coming through Earth's atmosphere, you're going to burn up when you pass through the atmosphere. There's something that's blocking the mirror world and the real world that will burn you if you try to go through, because Ava tried to go through the mirror and it burned her arms. And then, when Iris was like, well, why didn't you just say it? She was like, I wanted you to see it for yourself, because she was like, you didn't sound like you believed me. So that's their problem. The problem is the machine works, but they can't get through that barrier. Because the thing about it is, they can go through the mirror if she uses the machine, but if they go through the mirror, they'll burn, like they'll have like third-degree burns all over their bodies when they pass through the mirror. So then, Iris was like bandaging her arm up, and she's like, don't worry about it, we'll try something else. Iris goes to go find more band-aids. I don't know where these band-aids are coming from, because we ain't got no food, but Iris goes to get more band-aids, and then Ava pops up, and then she does the mirror thing, and then she's talking to Mirror Iris, and then Mirror Iris has burns on her arm, and she's like, what did you do to us? And then Ava was like, don't worry, my bad. She clears her up of like the arm thing, and now she just went from like poor scary little girl, now she's all like, So I'm like, this bitch is evil. So she's here's my theory on this. Ava, real Ava, regular Ava, is the new Mirror Master, and she's evil, flat out. She's trapped in the mirror, and her problem is she can't get herself out of the mirror because of that barrier. But if another person comes in contact with the mirror, she's able to create mirror clones. She can bring a person into the mirror and push a substitute out in that person's place, but she herself can't go through the mirror. So I think what Ava's doing is she's basically using her iris clone, because it's a clone. Like it's not like she's able to make like duplicate copies of people that are attached to her. That's why if she gets burned, the clone gets burned. Because they're all one. So it's like her and the mirror iris can fuse themselves back together if they wanted to. But since her mirror clones can travel through, and she's using her mirror clone. All the stuff that Iris is doing with this company is trying to figure out a way to get Ava out of the mirror. So Ava's basically going to trap the human race into the mirror, and she's going to replace it with nothing but mirror clones. That's going to be like her whole thing. So right now, I don't think she knew. She obviously didn't know about the mirror powers with her being able to control like the pieces, which is why she wants to explore that more, because she's just like, yo, I just found out about this thing last week, so she was like, yo, help me. She wants Iris to help her figure out how to use these mirror powers, because when she finally does get out of the mirror, she's gonna use that to take over the world. Like she's gonna end up being the villain. Watch. And Ramsey kept getting brought up a lot. So in the season finale, defeating the new Mirror Master will have something to do with Ramsey as well, because Ramsey's name got brought up like a couple of times. So we're not done with Ramsey yet. Yeah, so that was so that was it. So I said this chick is evil, so she's gonna use She's going to use her power to try to take over the world. But she just needs Iris's help to do it. And eventually, like, the Iris mirror clone will eventually disappear. Because once she gets out of the mirror, she's going to merge herself back in with the clone. Nash Wells, he's basically, his crossover effect is still going because the Council of Wells is basically in his brain. Like, he keeps seeing every single Wells that's ever appeared on a season of The Flash. He keeps seeing them. They're talking to him. He's trying to build this machine with Allegra, and this time was it HR? I think it was HR. He popped up and he was like, it's not gonna work, and then the machine blew up in everybody's face. He's having Wells hallucinations, and it's weird because again, like, he's seen every single Wells that we've known of so far, and then at the end of the episode, the Reverse Flash rolled up on him. Well, not so much. HR turned into the Reverse Flash. So I don't know what the Reverse Flash has to do with Nash, but because the original Wells was basically the Reverse Flash, maybe that has something to do with it. But Nash is clearly having Reverse Flash syndrome, and the Council of Wells is involved. I think like, all of the Wells doppelgangers, Reverse Flash included, they're part of Nash, and I think that the Reverse Flash is going to try to basically turn himself into Nash so he can stay alive. During the explosion, Allegra saw the photo that Nash had of him and her doppelganger. So she got upset. She was like, oh, you're trying to be my friend, but when you look at me, you see this person. And then, Nash went to go talk to Killer Frost, and then she was like, oh, she mad because she found out she's your daughter's doppelganger. And then Nash was like, she's not my daughter. She's more like an employee that, made a bad decision or made a bad call. So that's not his daughter, but it's probably like just some young girl, that was a very smart young girl that he took in. He trained her. That was like his protege. So it's kind of like Phil Coulson and Skye on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's like, it's not his actual daughter, but he raised her as like his own daughter. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but but that was it. That's the cool stuff with the Flash, because when the Crisis, everybody's semi moved on from Crisis except Flash. Except Flash. Like I said, Barry hasn't even accepted the fact that all this crap has happened, and Lila keeps getting shout outs on the Flash, so that's not the last we've seen of Lila. So thank you for tuning in. Next week, Kid Flash is back, so that'll be cool. I can't wait to see that. Look out for that. Leave a comment, like, and or subscribe. Check out the rest of my DC TV for the week. And for The Flash, as always, until next time, I'm out this bitch!